11:59 at Radio Free America, and this is Uncle Sam with music and the truth until dawn. Right now, I got a few words for some of our brothers and sisters in the occupied zone. The chair is against the wall. The chair is against the wall. John has a long mustache. John has a long mustache. It's 12 o'clock, Americans, another day closer to victory. And for all of you out there on or behind the lines, this is your song.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Daily Gun Show. We come to you live every day for about an hour or 90 minutes. We simulcast. Oh, hold on a second. My thing didn't shut off. We simulcast over on gun channels and YouTube. We come to you live. Watching the comments coming in. One of the reasons the show was started was for its interactivity with the live audience. So we do appreciate everybody that comes in and watches us live. We also appreciate everybody watching us later. We appreciate the feedback. Especially everyone that subbed to all the channels and chat hosts and content creators. They all put in a lot of effort, so make sure you check them out. Check out Gun Channels. Today, we are a little bit short, but we do have Dano coming in to save the day. How are you, Dano?
I'm doing good, and I'm glad to be here for probably not your first, but one of your what do we call it, freestyle shows.
Yeah,
that we're going to run things a little bit differently today, and hopefully it'll go well, and if not, I'm sure you'll let us know. But for the audience out there, we do have a wild card topic for today. So if you can have a topic that you're interested in exploring further, go ahead and type it in the comment notes, and if we don't seem to mention it, type it again. We may have missed it.
Very well. Cool. Absolutely. We do appreciate that feedback coming in. G-Web may or may not show up for the chat. I know that he was something about a chocolate factory, so we might not see him for the rest of the week. We don't know.
Yeah.
But usually we like to start the show with anything that happened overnight or in the early hours of the morning. I really don't got nothing. We talked a lot about the whole incident that happened yesterday, and there's no real actual updates. They are saying that a bumfire with stock was used. There are some pictures out, but like I said, at this point, I'm still kind of considering everything speculation.
Absolutely. I mean, until we get verifiable facts, it's all exactly what you said, rumor and innuendo.
Yeah.
So I don't have anything in regards to other type of stuff. So where do we begin today?
Well, we could just jump into the show. Tuesday, our show is usually Second Amendment. And then, like you said earlier, we have a wild card that our audience will help us out with. And State of the State. So I guess we could start off with Second Amendment issues. We were throwing around a few ideas when we started, so if there's something that I get wrong, Dan, feel free to correct me. We were going to initially address what a CCWer could have done in that situation to actually help. And obviously, shooting up 32 stories or floors or whatever from the center of the crowd, 1,000 feet away, 411 feet away, however many feet away it was, it probably wouldn't have been the best idea.
Yeah, you're far more likely to injure or other people than you are to help at all. And there is, no type of training that's available to civilians for you and your CCW pistol to address that situation. And that kind of leads us to, well, what could you do? And I'll let Jimmy talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's where we come into the part we were kind of discussing, training-wise. And we kind of brought it up yesterday. We kind of brought it up a little bit this morning, but I wanted to actually go into it and kind of just show the importance, or talk about the importance of it. Medical training, not necessarily anything extensive. I don't mean like go and try to become a registered nurse or anything like that, but they do have EMT classes that you could take for fairly cheap. And it's not like a CCW class or any type of handgun training where you're going to be there for multiple days or 8 hours a day. Some EMT, paramedic training, that kind of stuff gets a little extensive. The one I took was like a 4-hour class, and they pretty much just ran over The proper way to tie a tourniquet, which a lot of people think they could just snap off whatever they have and tie it up, that you can do nerve damage with that. You could really hurt somebody worse than they're already hurt if you don't know what you're doing. So a training class with that would be real important. And that would have been the guy yesterday when this stuff was happening, or in the early morning hours, whatever. He would have been the one to actually have help, giving medical aid to people, possibly stop some bleeding, save some lives.
Yeah, and out there in the greater world, there are generally for civilians two types of classes that I've noticed. One is what I'm going to call the Red Cross type of class, which covers scratches and boo-boos and minor burns. I took one of those classes. It was 4 hours, and when I asked about major lacerations or in regards to, I use the code word large puncture. They said, well, we don't cover that at the Red Cross. And I said, well, what class, where could I go to take a class? And she said, I don't know, that's usually covered in people's initial education that they get to become an EMT or a nurse or insert name of specialty.
Right.
And then the other type of class is one that goes much more in depth, and they call a spade, and they're talking about, okay, for a knife wound, a laceration, or a knife wound puncture, or a GSW, here are some different tools that can be applied in different ways, and this is why we carry more than one. I mean, unfortunately, the disaster showed us why we carry more than one tourniquet, as an example, or more than one pressure dressing, as an example, as well as more than one of other tools of the trade, because it may be you and someone you care about. It may be dozens or more of just innocent bystanders that got caught literally in the crossfire. And by having, these things are not super expensive, but by having A, the knowledge, B, the skill, and C, the tool, you can make a difference and literally save someone's life. How much is that worth?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm not talking about praise or anything like that. I'm talking about making a difference in this world. That, when you breathe your last breath, you will know in your heart of hearts that you left this world a little bit better than when you came into it, as a result of your willingness to go out there and put your mind, body, and yes, some amount of money down to get what was needed to make a difference in someone else's life.
Yeah,
and there are numerous schools out there that do this level of training. Some of it's a full day. Some of it is indeed 2 days. It depends on the money you have and the time you have available. But this stuff is available out there. It's not like, well, that's just for police only, or that's only for, special people. No, you as a citizen are special, just by your existence. And with just, like, well, I'm going to start beating a bush here, but you have the right to that knowledge. You have the right to the tools. It's just a matter of, do you have the determination to get that skill? Either you don't or you do. And if this doesn't get you to at least consider taking that type of training, I don't know what would. What more do you need to motivate you to get your ass off the couch? I'm not talking about next week, but I'm talking about, in the next year sometime, take a serious class for GSWs, knife wounds, lacerations, burns, that sort of thing, and then get the equipment to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you think?
And no, I agree with you wholeheartedly, 100% on that. Now, listen, there's a lot of people too out there that I've noticed that get turned off by medical kits. Oh, that's too expensive. I don't want to do that. But first of all, you can get kits for very, very cheap. And what I did for my own, you can build your own. You can go out and buy certain things. Ace bandages are what, $1? You can get gauze, that's cheap. You can get alcohol pads. I mean, you can build your own kit. But once you go to those classes,
you're only looking to keep them alive until the EMTs arrive or until they get to an EMT. That's all you're looking for. You're a temporary bridge. That's it.
Yeah, you don't need these packs with sutures in it and crazy. You just need to stop the bleeding temporarily or whatever the problem is until, like Dano said, the professionals get there. But
or you get to the professionals, because they may not it may be easier for you to get to them than for them to get to you.
Oh yeah, well that's the thing too. I was watching something very interesting yesterday, and it does kind of pertain to this. An ambulance. You call an ambulance for the incident that happened. You call an ambulance, they're on their way. There's a couple on their way, and there's a traffic jam, or there's somehow the driver gets distracted, and that ambulance gets into an accident. Now, is that ambulance going to be helping in that situation, or more of a liability because of the time that they're taking to respond?
In addition to, is that ambulance tied up at the retirement home? I mean, so they'll get to you, but they only have so many assets.
Yeah, right. Exactly. So I do believe, and then like I was saying though, with that bag, or with a medical kit, and if you're building your own, taking a little class like that, whether it's a day class, whether it's a few day class, several day, like Dano was saying, depending on your money situation or whatever, you'll learn, you'll know what you have to purchase to put in that kit. You'll have all the skills to be prepared, and you'll know what you need. So, I mean, it's not a good idea, bad idea thing, but I think it's a good idea to go out and somebody to get extra training other than just how to be proficient with your firearms.
Yeah, I had mentioned yesterday that the first class I ever took was indeed a medical class. And I took it for those exact reasons, major laceration from a knife, or I use the term in the class, so because it was more PC at that period of time, because we had not had concealed carry yet, I use the term an exceedingly large puncture. That was my code word for gunshot.
Yeah.
But that was but I went to Red Cross, which was fine for what I'll call scratches, minor wounds, and boo-boos. But and they did cover CPR. But otherwise, it was really totally inadequate for the situation that thousands of people were faced with just the other day. And
Yeah,
I realize
exactly.
it's not the sort of thing for everybody, but if you're going to carry and be willing to take someone's life or maim someone, maybe it's not just the person doing the evil thing. Maybe it's a bystander behind them or on the side of them that you didn't see. Why would you not be willing to put in similar effort to save that person that you accidentally shot because they were, 50 feet behind the criminal and it was dark out and you didn't see him?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And somebody said yesterday too, it was a great point. I like the wording of it too. If you're willing to put holes in somebody, you should know how to plug holes.
Yes.
So that was a good. Whoever said that yesterday, I forgot. We had a very long chat, so my bad, but that was a good one.
Yeah, I've heard that phrased a couple different ways, but they're all, good phrases with the same meaning.
Ghost out there is saying knowing how to use a tourniquet is extremely important. Oh, Angry just said if you're trying to put holes in people, good idea to know how to plug holes. Yeah. Patriot in the Dark over on YouTube. I don't have it in my area, but your local fire department sometimes puts classes on for first responders. Yeah, I've even seen people like it. I mean, it's dumb shit, and it's only like maybe a couple few hour class, but there's even like lifeguard classes, CPR, and somebody's drowning or something. It might be
because
useful
these
for people.
classes, cover more than just gunshots. Somebody's having a heart attack. Somebody's having some other medical issue. They cover treatable issues that you can make a difference between, because you are the ultimate first responder. You're there already. It's already happening. The EMTs are the second responders. It's just that the first responders, you usually stand there and do nothing. But hopefully, if you have some set knowledge and the tools to make it happen, you can make the difference in the outcome for that person.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh-oh, we got G-Webs with us.
So
Hold
I've
on.
not got my internet in my pocket. How's my audio?
Very good.
You're good, especially for having the camera on.
Okay, so this is the 45th Infantry Division Museum. It's in Oklahoma City, and it's supposedly the third largest collection of small arms in the country, and obviously a lot of static displays with actual vehicles and artillery, some planes and stuff. Get a film, so we're heading inside.
Now, did you have to get a special ID to get in there, or is that open to the general public?
No, it's not on board or anything.
Okay.
It's just a military. So we go in and there's these displays that are what, by 4 or something, and you can see the name. I'm assuming it's chronological. Mhm. Okay. So this is a lot different than some of the other museums. You've got by campaign and very complete. You have to go through again and take pictures. How's the video coming through?
Very good. Very different than it was at J.M. Davis.
Yeah, it's coming
Okay.
in real good. We actually, somebody was just saying though, the background noise was kind of hard to hear you.
Okay, for me,
Yeah, I think it's coming from. It's hard to tell because I got it locked on G-Webs right now.
There's quite a few people here, so I'm just not going to say anything.
Oh, okay.
well, I had just muted myself. Did that make any difference?
No, they're saying it's from the museum noise. I wonder if these are from, like Division will sometimes keep cool stuff from the campaigns that they've been on. I wonder if this is an accumulation of that type of stuff, because this stuff looks pretty nice.
Yeah, having bringbacks of cities that they had been into as a division, I think is pretty cool. If that's what they're indeed doing.
You'd have like your community areas or whatever. They'd have stuff like this over the doors or just in a little shadow box, and it's just the nicest stuff, I guess, that guys brought back. But I don't even think it was guys brought it back. I think it was they grabbed some stuff to keep archive of what they were doing, right? Towels.
Genuine Nazi towels.
Yep. Oh, now we go back to the beginning. Oh, this is very cool. Each of them has a bit of a description here, and then you've got, of course, a description underneath each one. Very good lighting, and the reflections don't seem.
Oh yeah, and the glare is like there's like none.
Do you think they have that special glass in there?
I suspect, because they don't want flash, and I suspect that's because of some of the leather and cloth that that UV can kill that stuff. This is a nice one. I'm guessing, yeah, it's just good glass. This is so cool. I like to see both the development of like innovation, but that's neat. But then it doesn't put it in any kind of context. So I really like seeing them by campaign like this. Oh, and then it looks like then they do just have chronologically. Oh, this one's awesome. I don't even know how much of it I just barely turned the camera on as I double checked that it was okay to take film, and then you guys are exploring it for the first time with me. Yeah, this is awesome. So I was down in Dallas, and my friend Martin Ivy, the guy that wrote the book on AK bayonets, he's a very knowledgeable scholar on all different types of firearms. He's a part of the Dallas Arms Collectors. It's a very large gun show that happens in Dallas, I think quarterly or maybe biannually. And It's unique in the respect that the promoter is the association. So it's a bunch of people running a gun show as opposed to like one guy or a family or something. And they're collectors. So they dedicate a good portion of the show to displays. So something like we see here, if a private collector owned a collection like this, he might set it up at a gun show simply to be a display. So people could ask questions, see it. Little kids can go up and actually see history and, you know, ask questions and stuff. So you can imagine, we had a similar thing in Arizona. I've seen things like the youth rifles, Garands, Thompsons, you know, people be into whatever they're collecting and share them like that. So Martin's been you know, involved in that aspect of gun shows and showing off collections and stuff. So when I was down in Dallas, he scolded me for not having this on the itinerary. So drove 3 hours north, and I'm glad he mentioned it because this is awesome. When we're done broadcasting, I'll go through and take a bunch of stills. And then looks like this is the kind of museum you're going to want to visit way more than once.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it.
Stuff like the cartridges for the old stuff. You don't ever, I mean, sometimes you see that, and then somewhere else you're going to see the rifle. So it's really cool to be able to see everything together. Old ass Civil War binoculars.
Wow, talk about crude.
Well, that was probably super high tech back then, though.
Oh yeah, that was probably cutting edge, dude.
Cutting edge. How apropos. Conversions and alterations. That's kind of cool. So y'all think your Glocks are the first time you're modding anything? You're wrong. What do they got going on here? Conversion flintlock to percussion using Maynard tape priming system. So this is almost like cap guns, except that's what ignited the cartridge. Each loading alteration, muzzle loading using some kind of system. So, oh, that's cool. They took and they cut up in an old flintlock, right? Or cap, whatever, an old black powder, and they chopped the thing and made almost like a bolt action style action on this one. So I've seen the trap doors, right? Or I guess this way, but that's kind of neat. I've never seen that one before. What's this one? Springfield breech loading sharps. And breech loading cartridge rifle manufactured by Springfield Armory. So, oh, thank you. Like little door down here. Well, little cavity door. What that's for? I think that used to be for the wick or whatever. What are they called when they have the wick?
A wick?
Yeah, it's not a matchlock. Is it a matchlock? Anyway, here's a Gatling gun. That the Gatling gun that they have at the NRA Museum, they did the research on it, and they can accurately take it or accurately account for it as one of the Gatling guns that Custer didn't take with him.
At the other museum?
At the NRA Museum, they have a Gatling gun. It's part of the collection of that billionaire who owned like dozens and dozens and dozens of Gatling guns. So Play is a Gatling gun that was one of Custer's, and literally one of the ones he did not bring with him. And then it's the same Gatling gun they used in Pale Rider when he opens up the covered wagon. So they can trace it all through, you know, ownership, and that's the same Gatling gun. And then it's just sitting there at the NRA Museum. Oh, we got pocket pistols. This is always fun. Seen as probably a good, dozen of these are on the Old West playing cards deck. That guy is. That one might be.
Are those all pinfire?
Oh, hell no. I mean, some of them are, but no, these are all kinds of things. Rimfires, and that's one of my favorite guns right there, I think. That little tiny Philadelphia style Derringer. I guess it's a Henry Derringer. This first Derringer, all small pocket pistols, came to be called Derringers. But yeah, oh, awesome. Look how tiny that thing is. First, we got that guy, the Knuckle Duster. We got that 4-barrel thing. None of these. Maybe that Model 1. Definitely one of my favorite guns of all time because it's the first revolver to use a cartridge. It's an invented 22 short, and then they invented that gun to go with it. And then every other gun out here stole the cartridges. And that's what became the way to go. Oh, now we got Colt. We had heard an interesting story at the NRA Museum from the curator there about Colt, who invented interchangeable parts, and then Eli Whitney like copied off of them. And I think that's kind of interesting because when I went to school, Eli Whitney gets the claim to fame for creating interchangeable parts. So cotton gin versus the revolver. Like which one, what's the agenda there? Which one are they trying to say? I mean, I doubt that history changed or something, or the interpretation of history changed. I think that's a conscious, deliberate, action to suggest that Eli Whitney, or to write it in the books that Eli Whitney was responsible for interchangeable parts, when Colt actually did it successfully in England, demonstrated it successfully in England publicly. There's like no doubt that Colt was, it's kind of a thing that he mentions during the tour at the NRA Museum, but I think that's worthy of its own discussion or a spotlight.
Well, yeah, definitely. That like changes history because I even heard about Eli Whitney and invented the cotton gin and all that. I heard about that when I was in school.
Yeah, and then the Industrial Revolution and civilization and the ending of. Anyway, so this is super cool seeing the chronological progression of the Colts and then into the Peacemakers. Super cool. I think it was on the other side, they had all those revolving rifles, and those are not only super expensive and rare, but kind of cool to see a bunch of them all together. This one looks a little interesting.
Hmm.
It says it's Model 1877 U.S. Cavalry Experimental, 44 Evans CF caliber, no serial number. It's a ghost gun, and approximately 4,000 were made. The magazine holds 28 cartridges. What? Wish they had a
Is that a lever?
A lever? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
Lever.
I don't know. I hate it when they put those sights up like that, though. It drives me nuts. I mean, I guess you could use it as a volley sight, but it's stupid. I really like how that cartridge is sitting there, like just on little wires. So that's the Indian Wars. I was thinking about the Indian Wars on the way up here. So I went through the Chickasaw Nation. They call them nations out here and not reservations. And they get real pissed when you call it reservation. So I think that's interesting. And I need to find out what the deal is there. But I was thinking about it. When you think of the Indian Wars, how long were the Indian Wars? Pop quiz. Anyone? Bueller? Nope.
I'd have to Google it.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. When I've, just kind of, I don't pay that much attention because I live out in Arizona and everything is about the Indian Wars, and or at least a lot of the history stuff is about the Indian Wars. But sometimes you hear, I think I seen somewhere that it was like 6 years. 6 years? What are they thinking? Like I've heard other sources that are like 120 years. So I guess it depends on if you count like the first time you started fighting with Indians and then the actual last fight. But I think some people must just group the concentration of it in the middle or something. But
I mean, I consider it basically from the very first clash, right up until the last group accepted being on a reservation.
Unwillingly, yeah. So exactly, that's basically 120 years. And I don't think that's something to be embarrassed of. And that's one of those things, I don't know if people are trying to rewrite history, like it looks bad that we fought with each other for 120 years or what. But yeah, I tend to agree that it should be, every altercation from first to last. I don't care if it takes 120 years for that span. This is super neat. The development or the evolution of cartridges. So they've got a bunch of stuff on like, what do you call them? Bullet boards.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. How well is this coming up?
Clear for me. Yeah. I don't know if anybody has any feedback out there, but it's coming in clear.
Man, I don't know if you've noticed that they have little stuff at the bottom, like these little tools. And this is driving me nuts because now I'm going to be a freaking combination weapon tool collector. I had no idea.
Like reamers and stuff like that.
Yeah, probably for cleaning out your primer pocket or whatever on the, whatever you call it on a flintlock. Yep. Little chisel point. Looks like they all have that in common, and they come off at the side. So I'm guessing they needed some torque, some leverage. They like a T handle, so it folds up. This one almost looks like it has an AR-15 front sight tool, so that's handy for if you time travel.
A lot of them, it almost looks like they, except that their individual tools have a lot in common with like AK parts.
Yeah, seriously. Don't they look exactly like AK parts? They are historical. Oh, now Bob jumps in. As soon as it's old stuff, Bob jumps in.
Yeah.
So Bob,
meanwhile, the rest of us had to keep the balls in the air.
So we're at the 43rd Infantry Museum in Tulsa, in Oklahoma City, Bob. It's supposedly the third largest collection of military small arms. Outside, there's a bunch of displays. I think Bob would just live here. I don't know if you can tell the scale. We're in a big room here, and it's a bunch of displays like they had at the Gunfighter and Lawman Museum down in Tombstone. Except it's like Vietnam, War in the Pacific, Indian Wars, World War II, World War I, Spanish American. So they're by campaign. And then they had some other displays where they're like the chronological Colts from first, Patterson's to last, and then the various rifles and stuff. So we're only about probably the way through right now.
Yeah, no, I was having technical difficulties, but I'm here.
I'm just going around the comments. Oh crap! Angry was saying 1622 to 1924 per. That's from Google though.
Yeah, because people were here from shortly after 1492.
Right. Yeah.
People started having difficulties. I'm surprised it was the 1600s, not the 1500s.
Well, that's the thing. We didn't immediately have wars. We were trading, and everybody was cool with each other until we decided we wanted a lot more.
Wait, what was that like grill looking thing? The bottom right. Yeah.
I'm not sure. It looks like
rods?
It's just a bunch of cleaning rods from like it says a model 1912 cleaning kit for the 1911 and 1911 A1s. I was gonna say it looks like 45, so it must be something for like, so the guys didn't have to carry their own stuff. You set this down, whatever, a dozen people could do their thing, and then just leave it all in that box, I guess. Little tools. I don't know if you can tell. These little right angle things are some kind of 1911 tool. Dang it! Now I got a new thing to look for at gun shows. That means y'all for contributing to the Patreon at the I'll buy stuff for you at gun shows level might be seeing some combination tools in your boxes. Thompson's. What is this?
There's the meat and potatoes.
What's this thing? You ever seen this?
No, what the hell is that?
I have no idea. It says United Defense UD-42 9mm submachine gun. Is it even a submachine? That would be a submachine gun. Issued to U.S. Army, used by allied countries and OSS. So what is that? Like I would say a grease gun mag, but they were 45 also. It looks like kind of like a mini Thompson mag. I wonder if that was proprietary magazine.
Yeah. If it's good enough for the OSS, it's good enough for me.
Well, I would have thought that maybe it was suppressed or something, because they did a lot of, stuff like that would need that, but yeah, maybe just for the capacity. It could just be for the capacity. I guess it could be. Look at that Thompson mag. That could just be a Thompson mag modified with narrow lips, and then maybe they get more capacity in there. It's a rising. Yep. I went over to that in 2012 when me and Haas were driving around. We got to Eric, Iraqi veterans, part of the country, as he was creating or filming his Halloween videos. So he went out and bought, literally back in 2012, for one video, he bought $500 worth of supplies. That was those soda bottles that they used to shoot all the time, pumpkins and stuff like that, and then tannerite, and then tons of ammo. And that day we were out there shooting a Rising, one of these things. It's a 45 ACP used by the Marines, and it's a full auto, semi-auto, so it's select fire. And I guess the concept was you'd shoot it select fire most of the time, or semi-auto. And then if you had to like clear a tunnel or something, like in the Pacific, they would just poke this thing around the entrance of the tunnel and unload a mag or two. But I guess it wasn't a great concept because you don't really see them too much anymore. And we got the grease gun.
It's supposed to be a cheaper version of the Thompson, but they didn't turn out to be that much cheaper.
Right, and they were so big and clunky. I would think that Thompson has so many advantages by being able to chop that stock and stuff. And then a 50 mag. This thing's only got the stick mag. This thing's kind of, I really like grease guns. Wish they were easier to get. So what do we got? The Russian, or what is that? Russian or Polish? Russian, British, and British.
Did you see the one you can actually pick up?
Which one?
The Russian PPSH.
Oh, cool.
Around the corner here.
Okay.
Just side of this Nazi flag is sitting on a pedestal.
Oh, right on.
It's a Chinese copy of the PPSH.
Can I ask, do you know how long the museum's been here?
This museum was opened in 1976. This gun collection has been here since 1979.
Okay, and are these property of the 45th Infantry then?
They were donated, yes, by the Reeves family.
Oh, okay, so this
Jordan
was a
Reeves.
personal collection.
This was most of the items in this collection were collected by Jordan Reeves.
Okay,
He started collecting after he got out of the Navy. His primary field of interest was Civil War. That's why if you get over on the other side of this case where the Civil War arms is,
Mhm.
I mean, from one end to the other is Civil War. And it's odd to think that all those weapons was used by just two armies, two armies from the same country.
Yeah.
But yeah, they were great patrons of the museum, and they donated all this
Awesome.
collection. That were not donated by the Reeves family is the Schofield rifle that was donated by Charles T. Ingram's descendants. That's why we know who carried it during the Civil War.
Cool.
And this Mauser right here, that's a new acquire. We got that from someone who turned it into the Tulsa Police Department that didn't want to go through the paperwork to own it because it is a select fire weapon.
okay.
And
Well, that's awesome. So in other words, someone had this, they knew that they
Someone had
couldn't
it.
amnesty it
They-
in,
well,
so
they
instead of
didn't
destroying
wanna-
it, they
didn't
brought
wanna
it
do
to
the
the police.
paperwork.
Yeah.
They turned it into the police. The person that collected it in Tulsa recognized it for what it was. He
Awesome.
contacted us. It's paperwork and red tape. It got transferred to the museum, and now we have it on display.
That's awesome. And it's great to know that that's a possibility for people.
That is all original except for the leather. The leather is reproduction, but everything else is original.
Very cool. And then the static displays outside, those have just been acquired, I'm sure, for the military.
Yeah. Matter of fact, you read some of them, like the M1 tank that's right out here.
Uh-huh.
It came from Maulston, Wisconsin. This little
Oh.
plaque on it. It tells you where it came from.
And then is there something like a booklet or a book that it explains the museum and the history and some of the displays?
We have a flyer out there.
Okay.
That's real basic.
Well, I guess any shirts or patches or stuff that we can buy to support the
We do
museum?
have a gift shop.
Okay.
If you, when you go back around this way, go through that last
Door there?
door there on this side and go down that little hallway. The gift store's on the left, down there where the men's room is, in the bathroom and the water fountain.
All right, thanks. Yeah, we'll definitely leave some money here when we leave. Thank you.
You was looking at that grease gun. Now that's the Second World War grease gun.
Okay.
They modified that for Korea.
Okay.
This is the Korean War.
That's the one I guess I've seen because it has, I noticed the mag loader in the
Yeah,
stock.
the mag loader. Well, one of the problems with that one is if they jam that, you could actually hit magazine release.
Oh, so they just didn't realize, and then as
They
it
didn't
gets
realize
bumped,
it.
yeah.
The cocking lever that's on side point.
Mhm.
Well, so on this one, there is no cocking lever. You're in that first hole, pull it back.
Okay, very
Now,
smart.
This fired from the open bolt.
Mhm.
He said, pull this back when you pull the trigger, it slams forward. It was actually easier to hold on target than the Thompson because it fired slower.
Oh, okay.
Slower
So
rate
just the
of fire.
cyclic rate gave it a easier,
Right. So you could actually hold on to it and keep it on target.
and I can only assume it must cost less to produce.
Well, I don't know, but I'm talking because I have researched this one. This was actually made by two different companies. One company made and the barrel and bolt.
Huh.
The combined cost was $21
Nice.
versus a couple of $100.
Right. And a stent I've heard was $7.
Yeah.
So
This
a lot
is-
cruder, but
This was called the plumber's, because it's all pipe.
Yeah, it's like
It just-
made them in bicycle shops, right?
Yeah, just screwed together.
And that's why ours is better.
And I've heard stories about these from different people. Some people love them, said they worked all the time. Others, piece of crap, wouldn't work. So I guess it was,
I suspect it was
One-
probably
from
in
one
the
to the
beginning of
other.
the war and the end of the war, like
and where it was made, and
Right.
we made it. I mean,
how much experience they had, and they'd get feedback and then
like
fix
anything
things.
else, sometimes you get a limit.
Right.
But it stayed in issue for a long time
Definitely.
because the British were even using these in the 60s. So it stayed around a long time.
Very neat. Thank you again.
If you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Okay, and I'm going to send that to you guys too. So if you're watching, you've got questions, we've got the ear here, so we'll ask them. I think we came in over here, and then we snuck back around over here, and then I went that way, around back of all that, and then came down this aisle. So now we're not going to miss the Korean War stuff here. It's already got some beginnings in a little bigger than what we got now. That's because you had crude Gen 1 night vision, so you had to have a massive illuminator. So this thing is just basically a big IR spotlight that blows a torch IR light out there. And then this thing collects, as crude as it was, it would collect as much of that IR light and give you a very decent image of what's going on downrange. Problem is, they were looking at you with night vision, saw a floodlight coming at them because it would illuminate them. And it was huge, and it would take massive batteries. This is the battery. And that
What?
massive,
So would people have to carry that around with them or just charge it before they go out?
that's a question that I'd have to ask somebody who actually used one, because I don't know the application fees. I don't know if they were simply experimental or if they were used for specific, operations where it would come in handy, or if it was used by units so that they had it as a tool, or in Vietnam, they were they weren't just issued to people. So the fact that I see this one in a Korean War case, that's totally new to me. I didn't know they were that old. Probably M2 select fire version of the M1 carbine, I'm guessing. Oh, they call it the M3, right? When they have the sniper scope, that's right.
Oh,
I know you're looking at Korean War, but in the Vietnam War, one of the techniques used to be to leave the emitter off and then wait for the enemy to turn his emitter on. And then, of course, now you know exactly where he's at.
So that you basically, and I suppose that's probably the kind of games you'd have to play out there. And then they probably would set up like a beacon, to distract you. So what kind of bayonet do we have? Romanian, come on. Yeah, we got a nice select fire Hungarian. Beat the hell out of Iraqi bayonet or AK.
Well,
So
what were
7.62 by
the North Koreans? What were the North Koreans using in '52?
Oh, am I breaking up or is that Dano?
It might be.
No, Dano wasn't breaking up.
Okay, then I am going to restart because I only heard like 3 words that Dano said in the last 5 minutes. So are you guys hearing me okay?
Yeah, you're coming in great.
Oh, well then I'll keep going.
All I asked
So this
was,
is
what weapons did the Koreans use during '52? Rifles.
I have no idea. They don't have any. It's just our guns, I guess, in these, except for that Russian gun. That's a good question. I guess it's because it's a guy's collection. Maybe he just didn't collect the enemy stuff for that war. So we know it's a Hungarian because of that pistol grip and because of the color of the wood and how often you get to see one in actual condition. That's pretty cool. I like it. Muzzle nut at the end, not worrying about brakes or nothing. All right, so I guess I'll go this way. And we'll go into the supporting forces hall, where that is. So maybe when I get up on this ramp. Oh, and then there's also a collection. I don't know the guy because it's from like World War II or whatever. But this whole section of the museum seems to be drawings from, it looks like World War II like editorial drawings, or maybe just a guy who was an artist. I don't know the story of it, but this guy. They may know who this guy is.
No.
Am I still coming through?
Yeah, you're coming through. No, you're coming through. I don't know who that guy is.
Okay.
Yeah,
But anyway, that's, I think, his. So hopefully this gives you an idea of some of the scale there of those booths that we walked past, and then scale of the room. What's amazing here is even the tops are not dusty. They're definitely keeping this place immaculate. I really like that.
Huh. Now, how would you? Smeggy was asking earlier. Well, I think he was saying to ask the guy, but I'm asking you. How would you compare this to J.M. Davis?
Totally different.
Size-wise,
All military. It's all real. Well, it's all in just, what do they call these, dioramas, displays. Size-wise, it's not anywhere near as big. A third, a quarter the size, maybe even. But Davis doesn't have them like this. Number one, they got the bad glass still, and then they just don't have such consistency or such completeness in their displays. Like this is U.S. rifles, and some of these examples are over there in like the various campaigns, right?
Looks like the documentation is a lot better.
Yeah, I mean,
As far as
I haven't
what it
read
is.
all yet, but there's these, and the J.M. Davis doesn't have very many like why this display is put together, where Davis will just have what the gun is, and those can be fascinating. And sometimes by reading a bunch of these, you understand what's going on with that portion of the collection. But I really think at the J.M. Davis, I mean, that's just my opinion, the people that put it together aren't gun people. They just put a bunch of items up, and the arrangement or the collections, I think, have a lot to be desired. I would go in there and rearrange it completely to do stuff like this, because he has definitely enough guns to say, here's the guns of Korea, whatever campaign, and then he has enough guns to also do, here's all the guns of Colt. And then if I was going to put all the guns of Colt up, I'd put them up, in a circle like that, so you can see the development of them. They'll just have all the Colt guns in a case, but it has something to do with probably, he died, and then he wasn't buying guns anymore, and then a bunch of stuff gets donated by the police departments. So instead of rearranging the whole case, they just keep adding them. Wow. So this is aviation. Got things like this cockpit from I don't know, Bob, what's this cockpit? Single seat. Is Bob here anymore?
I think so. Says he is.
He's probably out on the deck.
Oh, cool.
It's not a bot. So I guess it's not a cockpit, it's a flight simulator. I don't know what I'm looking. Got armored personnel carrier with mannequins on top, all decked out. Real 50. So there's something to be said for being able to go up and touch something like this in real life.
I think November 5th, that might come in handy.
What's November 5th? Oh, for the show or for the Wanamaker? This is Oklahoma City, though. So it's like, I don't know, what is it, 2 hours away from each other? Boy, this is neat. This is not an inexpensive display of vehicles here. That's very cool. And this one, I'm assuming, is like brand new. Wow. And how often do you go into a museum? And it's really fancy. Like I've been to some car museums in Vegas where they keep their stuff all nice, but I would expect to see dust and smell mold in here. This is neat. Like everything is just spick and span.
Oh yeah, they definitely take care of their stuff for sure.
Now, being the 43rd Infantry Museum, it seems like these guys have a more appreciation for authenticity. So, yeah. How cool is it to leave the back door of an APC open while the guys are ankle deep in brass standing on ammo cans? That is freaking awesome. Yeah, I'm going to take a lot of pictures in here.
He touched it.
Now, do you know why those guys, like in Vietnam, they all started riding on top of the APCs, instead of inside them?
So you could jump off, right?
Well, yeah. Also, and if they hit a landmine, if you were inside, it would break your legs.
Oh, just because it came up and smashed you so hard?
Yeah, the floor would come up and smack you because they were just aluminum armor.
So this flamethrower here makes me think there's those little goofy looking flamethrowers that somebody makes and paints little mouths on them and stuff. And everybody on YouTube got one for nothing. So you see them a bunch on YouTube. Some guy, I think he's a Marine, built a more authentic one that looks pretty close to this. Only instead of having a igniter like this, it's got a propane tank up here. So that is a little, I don't like that. But it's basically a lot closer looking to this. And it's a little more expensive. And he's asking me if I want one to the whole thing, do YouTube videos on or whatever. My thing is, there's a reason I didn't become a flamethrower dude, and that's because I don't want to have a 3rd-degree burn factory on my back. So what kind of vote do we have out there in the chat? Would you accept a free massive flamethrower like this?
Yes.
To go do videos on, or would you not, like I'm planning to do?
Yes.
I'd want someone to have it that would be willing to use it. I wouldn't take it just to take it, and I'd be too concerned about the safety aspect.
It's just fire.
If I was fighting a war and it was necessary for someone to drag a flamethrower somewhere, yes. But to play around and risk dying a horrible flamethrower, not a chance. Not a chance for me. This is
I think I would take it.
This makes me want to go to more gun shows and buy gas masks again.
Give it to Jimmy. Jimmy will try anything.
Yeah. Jimmy likes it.
No, we'd have to go to like Mexico and find one of those big like white sand areas because there's not too many places in Arizona. It's never wet. There's not a place in Arizona to shoot a flamethrower. I guess.
Oh yeah, if we even had the thought of using that thing in the desert, there'd be a brush fire immediately.
Seriously, have you guys seen these before?
Children's gas masks. Yes, I have.
And he'll return momentarily once he realizes he's lost the signal. Hopefully he didn't lose the battery.
He's probably explaining to us right now the child gas mask.
The Mickey Mouse gas mask.
Yeah. You know what I just thought? How cool would it be if we were in a tour like this, being live, and then if we had the ability to super chat, if everybody that super chatted, we take the total of that and then drop it in the donation box at the end.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yep.
Anyway, so you guys talked about the Mickey Mouse gas masks. Those were for kids, so they weren't scared.
Yeah. Although that's a scary looking gas mask.
Yeah.
Well, it's only creepy because I think it's 1 million years old. I imagine when it was new and the rubber was fresh, and the alternative was this like stormtrooper AT-AT commander freaking mask. You're probably like, yeah, I'll take the little goofy mask.
Yeah, see this thing with the picture of a rat? Put it on your face.
Actually, I don't know what, but I'm thinking of the Gun Rights Policy Conference, and I'm thinking development and how we get to where we're at. Back then, that was that wasn't even color movies yet, right? But that was probably the beginning of like little cartoony guys in marketing and merchandising and all that, right? Like before that, it would, I don't know. Yeah. I think maybe there's something to do there. Like, so these kids, even if it was creepy, are going to be like, oh, that's Mickey Mouse, like a Pokemon or like a, Pog shit. It's probably like brand new toy. So yeah.
Yeah,
put it on my face.
It would make them want to put it on.
And I had so many of these that are like under bushes, and I would like bury them or whatever, or just lose them. But I had so much Korean War stuff when I was a kid. These things are awesome. When you open that up, it's like all divided, so it's like useful for storing all kinds of stuff. And I didn't like them because as soon as the NOM stuff started flooding the market, I'm like, I don't want this old moldy canvasy stuff. Oh, look at them boots. That's pretty cool.
See if there's a pair that'll fit you.
I don't know. These are kind of dark, but the area over here is kind of dark, but that might be because that's leather and cloth in there. And again, UV kills all that stuff over time.
When I think of army boots, my feet immediately hurt.
Really, I thought that my boots were some of the most comfortable ones. Only problem I had with my combat boots was they were smooth underneath, and I freaking hated that. Or no, wait, those were my Nam ones from a kid. But even my issue ones were freaking super comfortable. It's probably because you end up walking like 100 miles in them.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you know what I would think would be cool for something like this? Have you ever been to a Walmart in the middle of the night and walked through the frozen food aisle? Like, as you walk, it knows where you are and it turns the lights on for where you are, but it leaves all the other lights off. So, like, as you walk, the light moves with you. Anyway, so that would be kind of cool in a museum like this, where they have light issues.
Conserving power?
I imagine so, because there's a billion Walmarts, and if you can save a nickel at a billion Walmarts, that's $500 million or something. Man, I remember these trailers. Man, I had a bunch of those.
Yep. Oh, every farmer used to have those trailers.
Yeah, exactly. I bet you these things were like basically given away after the war. How cool is it to see a Jeep with a split window and a big artillery cannon in it? I don't know if you've ever seen that.
Oh, that's
And it
cool.
looks like that Jeep is like in mint condition.
Every one of these things look like they just took them out of the crate, like if they were never. I mean, that happened. My grandpa used to tell me about, after the war, the stuff that was in production to go, it was still in a crate to go overseas. You would just buy it, wipe the Cosmoline off, and have a brand new Jeep that had never been even sat in. That's what that thing looks like. I mean, that second one over. Unless it could be a good repro that's clean. But yeah, these things don't look like they've got dents, use, like wear marks or anything. So I wouldn't be surprised if these were either original, like never used, or just highly rebuilt.
Yeah, it's complete.
There's stuff over there, and there's a rope right here, and I'm not allowed to go over there. There's something. Look how many boxes of stuff there is.
Damn.
Then why don't you go ask that guy?
Yeah. Can I root through those boxes?
Preparing anti-tank mines. So they weren't the only sons of bitches using anti-tank mines, I guess. That was Korea.
Yeah, well, the Koreans and Chinese did have tanks.
The Soviets weren't giving them tanks?
Oh yeah, they had Soviet tanks. Yeah.
Neat collection of radios. See some of the development.
T-34s and T-35, T-55s.
So I had never heard of this before. You take one of the old crank telephones and you go out in a boat and you put one wire in, another wire in, you crank it, and I guess it stuns the fish. You ever heard of that?
Yep. Illegal as hell.
Well, it's not legal, but yeah, I've heard. I didn't know that was a thing.
Angry and they. Oh my bad.
I used to walk around with these things on because I thought they were badass when I was a little kid.
I thought those were like World War One.
Gators.
Oh, that's
they're like they're just like the guard things that you put on your boots when you're standing guard or whatever.
Oh, okay. Where's good guy when you need him?
Yeah, appreciate.
Angry was asking if they had any Davy Crockett's or Davy Crockett in there.
Nukes. Recoilless nukes.
Yeah. You guys got any nukes in here?
So we're walking past tripod mounted stuff. Two. So the other day, Smeggy was pointing the CZ52 at the camera.
Oh, was that what that was? I thought he got a new Browning or something, high power.
So what's that tag say that's hanging on? Browning. Oh, it's an M2. Okay.
Yeah, it's an M2 with a heavy barrel, so it might be a little thicker than normal.
Yeah, that's a much bigger, wider barrel than I'm accustomed to seeing. Do not touch. Oh.
Got mortars. I never shot a mortar. You ever shot a mortar?
Nope.
I don't even think I've been around a mortar before. Fort Sill isn't too far from here, and I think they're artillery and stuff. I wonder if they might try to shoot them. Okay, I could handle carrying around this thing, and I guess I could be talking to carry around this thing. But I'm going to lunch or something if somebody starts asking who's going to carry this motherfucker around. That thing's
Nope.
I wouldn't mind standing behind that thing when it's going, but I'll carry that one. A little tiny bomb.
Oh, cool. 60 millimeter.
Makes you want to collect ordnance.
Yeah. That's what my old man did in World War II. He was a mortar guy.
The only time I like seeing Nazi shit is like this, when everybody who killed the motherfuckers signed a flag.
You know, I got a question for you, G. Webbs, and I've noticed it at other places, is a lot of times they don't differentiate the Nazis from the German army.
Okay. I don't either, so. Okay.
Because there was a difference, like the SS brigades.
I don't see various levels of Nazi. I see if they're trying to force you to be a Nazi, you start killing Nazis until they either stop trying to make you a Nazi or you die.
Well, the difference being is the German soldier had no choice.
Yeah, you always have a choice. Kill the motherfuckers trying to make you be a Nazi. I don't know. It's easy for me.
Where the Death Head, the SS, they voluntarily joined to become that evil shit.
No, I hear you there. They were definitely more evil, but I think that if you comply, you're evil. You don't just get to sit around and then go, "Oh, I didn't mean to." So it's
no, I'm not talking about like guys running camps. I'm talking about just regular infantry.
Yeah, I'm talking about anybody that pulled the trigger. You don't get to rob a bank and go, "Oh, I didn't really mean to rob the bank, so I don't really want to go to jail." And they're like, "Okay, yeah, you didn't really rob the bank."
Yeah, but you didn't have a choice of where you were born.
Dude, if they came over here tomorrow and said, "You're going to be a Nazi," I'd kill the guy telling me to be a Nazi. You always have a choice. But anyway, no, I don't know that I would pay attention, though, so I can't say that I don't pay attention to Nazi stuff, really, so I don't know that I've ever noticed or identified a distinction. I mean, that wasn't my war. I grew up with the guys from Nam and a little bit of Korea stuff. World War II for me was always stories from, my grandpa. All right, I guess I'll leave this, even though I want to know what's in that middle over there. We should probably go outside too. What are we doing on time?
We are, oh crap, it's already almost half past, 20 after 10.
We need to get Bob somebody to paint a giant life-size picture for Bob like this.
Yeah.
Canadian ground. All right, so I guess go ahead. I'm not going to go through the drawings, right? We'll go to the museum or the gift shop, and then we'll go outside because you'll be impressed by the static displays outside.
Oh, for sure.
They're not insignificant. Okay, so there's Fort Sill. I had a friend that was at Fort Sill. They were doing he was in basic, doing some kind of range work. You shoot a bunch of M16s and other things on ranges. And then some other guys were learning artillery. They put their own shell in or whatever, overshot their range, hit the guy who I knew from high school, hit all those guys, and wiped out a few of them. Anybody that wanted to get out of the Army, because of the trauma. Like if you were in that group.
What year was that?
91, 90? He was he was the same as me, but I joined early, so he was out of high school. I joined sophomore year. So yeah, you can join the military as a 16-year-old. You just have to I had to get written recommendation from my congressman, and it helped to be an Eagle Scout. Saw one of them at the gun show the other day.
Yeah, those are rather nasty looking spikes.
Yeah, with the triangle points.
Yeah.
See, this is the kind of thing
You think that hurts? Let me shove it in a little farther.
And twist, right? And there's no way you're sewing that up. This is the kind of stuff I like, where it's just really authentic dioramas and then stuff and no glass or anything.
Yeah.
I think as a kid, I remember liking these things so much, and it's got to get to the point across more than looking at an old black and white picture or even a color version.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of cool. Very cool. That's one of the coolest gift shops I've seen for a museum ever. All kinds of little souvenir toys and stuff the kids could get, after they just saw their favorite one or whatever. Shirts are only $10. That guy, well, I won't get into it, but here's a whole bunch of books, coloring books for kids about guns. Interesting.
No, that's cool.
A whole bunch of different service teddy bear looking things. Speaking of that,
Hey,
carbine
it's a
with the nice,
G.I. Joe.
yeah, with that M3 carbine.
Now, is that guy for sale?
I don't think so, because it's just sitting there without a price tag, and it looks like a real old one.
Yeah.
We've got some of these for people that are on Patreon supporting the show. When we send stuff out, we'll give you a brochure. Nice. I don't think I'll be buying that keychain. Coffee in there, Tanner. It's King Coffee. Here's the coffee. We get water. Wait. Main entrance. I don't know if I'm not going to leave here.
Yeah, go right ahead, sir.
Thank you. Arm to go off. All right, so this is the main road where you come in. Parking is all around this way. We came in the building on that end. Looks like an authentic old military building of some sort. Looks like we got a duck, and then old, whatever the hell became Fort Deuce and a Half, and then that giant artillery thing that goes up on a tripod. But then you got this field out here, and I don't know how well my camera's coming in, how far you can see, but a second here, I'll be able to put it in some perspective. I think the problem is these things are in real paint, right? They're in real paint jobs, so they're camouflaged. You can't really see them so good. So I'm not sure how well you're going to see the amount of stuff here. But if you look at it this way, the time I walked from the building there, right, there's at least that much going that way. And we'll start walking around. Is my internet still okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck? Luckily, it's dumbass Beretta 9mm, so I don't have to worry about it.
What's ironic is you have a freaking cannon mounted right there. Yet no little
Yeah.
pistols.
Oh, sweet. Dang.
This is the kind of stuff I like. When I was a little kid, when they'd have displays like this one, man, talk about awesome. So there's this place called Kentigny in Illinois that was like this. When I was a little kid, they would take us to places like that, and on field trips or like scout trips, you go camping there, and it would be a place like this without the aircraft, but with the ducks and with the tanks and stuff. Do you remember that place, Dano?
I remember you showing it to me on a Google map.
It's different now, but when I was a little kid and they take us there on trips or whatever, they'd the stuff was all this close together, and this stuff has fences around it. They let you climb all over it, and there was where is that, cedar chunks? So basically grenades all over the floor, and so you could fall off of it or get pushed off of it and probably not die. There was concrete pads, but like cedar bark everywhere else. So you had like infinite ammo, and everybody would just grab a vehicle and start hucking shit at each other. Man, that was awesome. I don't think you can do that kind of stuff anymore.
Chucking shit.
Hucking shit.
Chucking. With a C and H.
Huck.
Oh.
I think chucking is like a further distance. When you're hucking, you're just kind of winging it. You're just throwing it. You don't really aim.
A huck is a toss, a chuck is a whip.
I'd like
That's
to buy
what you
one of
need
these.
for the tour there, G-Webs. You should have yourself a nice big 6x6.
I really would. When I was in the Army, I busted one of these, so I have a particular fondness for them. I used to get off of school, so I was in, say when I was in high school, so I'd like take Fridays off and go run errands because the dudes who didn't want to do it were more than happy to let me do it. So I would drive one of these things all down the highways and shit, and I busted the block on it. So I started busting big-ass vehicles when I was a little kid. And I brought it back, and it was leaking oil like a sieve, and it was all seized up, and I was shitting bricks. And that's when I learned how to really play the game. So I'm still here, and I didn't have to pay for that just to have.
Driving a little faster than it was supposed to go.
No, I'm just 16 and driving around a deuce and a half by myself. So that's their problem for fucking doing that. Your driver's license test in the Army is like your friend gets in the vehicle with you, you drive it around, and then he signs off on it. I mean, it's not really difficult.
Mine was different. They actually had a guy on the base drive around with us, and we had to drive the truck around, which is me and some dude I had never seen before, some E5.
So Smeggy was pointing that little CZ at the camera the other day. I'm putting my camera in this one.
Just don't drop it.
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I'll get it back. Can I get some assistance? How awesome is it that you can still go up and crank on that crank? I want to crank that crank so hard. It's got its little digits.
Pull the lever, the barrel drops on your head.
Yeah, no shit. Or half of it at least. Dude, that thing is awesome. I've never seen one of these shoot before in real life.
No.
How, would you want one of these things? If somebody was like, here, I'll sell you this for $200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of short though.
Don't matter. $200, I'll take it. I'll sell it for a bigger one.
Oh, it's amphibious too, isn't it?
Is it? I don't
It's
think
got
so.
splash plates on
Look
the
heavy. Yeah. This thing here, that's for splash. I figured that was like landmine shit or something.
No, that's usually
No, it's nothing. It's like a stop sign.
the waves from coming over the bow.
Oh, this thing is like, look at that weld, dude. That's got to be like 3/4 inch steel.
Yep.
Yeah, there's nothing. This is 100% solid. I don't think that thing floats, Bob.
Yeah, it floats.
This kind of shit is awesome, especially if you're throwing around chunks of wood at each other over here, or if you just went out into the woods and grabbed some guns, you know, pieces of wood that look like a gun, run all around, and then you got your air support. It's freaking cool.
People don't realize how old the Hughes 500 is, that it goes back to the Vietnam War.
Oh yeah, and they're still making a version of it and selling it today.
That there's a variation of it called Little Bird that's still being used.
You mean this guy? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, it's a good design, right? It's not like this stupid one that was everything was open, so they probably can fly that thing in a lot more conditions. However, this has got to be one of the coolest helicopters.
That
ever,
one
right?
that you're looking at right now, that's a training helicopter.
A Raven observation helicopter. Maybe I'll go in and tell them that they have it misspelled here. I'll scribble this off.
Okay. It looks exactly like a training helicopter.
It's basically the same helicopter as a training one. They just made it an observation one.
I mean, I know my helicopters backwards and forwards. But
Well, let me go back. Okay.
But it looks identical. They're little two-seaters. You got the student on one side, you got the instructor on the other, and they're a radial piston engine.
Yeah, that had a turbine.
Is that him or me?
That's your wind.
Got wind.
Okay. This is cool. Just called weapons carrier. That is a cool little truck.
Yeah, 3/4 ton dog.
I'd take that for $200.
Oh.
Half-ton closed cab.
Only half ton?
Yeah, it says half-ton. Only made for 2 years. And that'd be a cool looking little truck though.
Yeah, wouldn't be very fast though.
What's crazy is that's a frickin' Huey, right? It looks tiny, and that thing is only a couple of feet in the air, but that thing holds like 12 dudes if you cram them in there.
There were different
What?
frame sizes of Hueys.
Oh, there were.
Dual engine.
Oh, okay. This is a Kiowa.
Yeah. And a Kiowa is actually technically not a Huey, but that's all right.
Oh, so that's the bigger one there. That's okay. So this just looks kind of like one, but it's not fat enough. That's a Huey over there. So I don't know why helicopters. These tanks is how organic like the shapes are, and is that? I mean, it's all solid metal, so it's not like it's.
That's cast.
I don't know.
Cast
Right,
1B.
but I mean, it had to be with an intent. So is the intent just to make it look cool, or is the smoothness, you know, like that other one was all angular. It was just a bunch of flat pieces of metal welded together, where, like you say, this is cast. Is that for the strength of the casting, or is that because this organic shape helps divert something, or is, you know what I'm saying? Is there, why didn't they just make this out of flat metal and weld it?
It's a bit of both. Like the more you can lean metal, the more you tilt it. It effectively makes your armor thicker because the projectile has to come through it at an angle. So it makes it and more likely to deflect things, eh?
And it also for camouflage because there's less straight lines.
Right.
Yeah, like there's no straight lines in nature, so I could see that just being a thing on its own, really.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's the one I think I was thinking of, the Korean. That's like the MASH helicopter.
Yeah.
And that's a bit bigger than that little guy we were looking at over there. Dang it, I want to walk that way, and they don't have a sidewalk. Look at this. This is a short barrel tank. This one's not legal in Canada because it doesn't have a long enough barrel on it.
That an infantry support, or is it a actual flamethrower tank or something?
It's probably 9mm cannon. If they put a longer barrel on it, the bullet wouldn't get out.
What does it say that kind of vehicle is?
There's no plaque on it. It might be on the other side.
Oh,
Must be able to walk through the grass then. This must just be a suggested path. Oh, that's kind of cool. Anti-aircraft model M42, twin 40mm.
I like the name, the Duster.
Yeah, this
Now that's a
looks like it
flash
could be
hider.
fun to shoot off a couple of rounds out of.
Yeah.
Just two.
Yeah, one onto each barrel. Boom. You could take that muffler and put a set of glass packs on there, and then it would sound badass.
Yeah.
How big that duck?
Yeah, they're actually quite large. You don't think about it when you
Big in boat.
I'm gonna touch this duck on the butt.
Yeah, that's what they have all up in Wisconsin Dells.
Yep. Did you ever go there? I always saw the commercials and was like, no, I don't need to go. I've seen the commercial. It's just driving around in a duck. That's boring.
Yeah. No, I've been up there.
But yeah, that was an amusement type of thing. What did they drive around in? A lake or rivers?
Yeah.
It had to be lakes, probably. It's Wisconsin.
Yeah.
But they would paint these things all goofy, right? And then you'd pay money and they'd drive you around in one.
Right. Well, they drive you through. There's a lot of really cool geological formations.
Oh, so it's like the sightseeing thing. It just happened to be in one. I thought it was the going in the duck that was the cool part.
No, the duck just gets you from dry land to out in the riverways to see the canyons and stuff like that.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand the concept, I guess, then.
Yeah, that
Yeah, when I
duck,
went to Wisconsin Dells when I was a kid, we went to the ducks, and I don't know, I thought my mom hated me. I was bored to death.
Would you take this Artillery Prime Mover M5 tractor for $200?
yeah.
$200? Yeah, I'll take anything on the lot for $200.
Yeah. Okay.
No, let's see. That's the second one. And this is what happens. You buy that for $200, and then how much do you think it costs to get that to your place? And then how much it's going to cost to get it running again?
I'll tell the guy that I'm going to sell it to where to pick it up at, and he'll have to worry about that.
He's flipping.
Flip this tank.
What is this? That seems new. These tanks are cool. What tanks are these, Bob?
I don't know. Could be M60s.
You have to walk into the grass. They must allow you to walk in the grass. There's not even a pathway up to these. Yeah, good.
Mm.
Made in Detroit. I'm just glad that Smeggy wasn't there, because then I'd be worried about the paint flow.
Yeah.
The heating flow.
Well, being that they came from the Detroit Arsenal, I'm sure they had the best paint possible.
It was probably put on with a brush.
A brush? No.
Yeah, they were still
Sure they
using
spray it.
M60s up into the early 80s.
Yeah, that was the first.
Oh yeah, I mean these things.
First
before.
Iraq War, they were used.
I'm pretty sure I've seen those things driving around before.
Yeah, because they
Like
used
on
the Marines
military forces.
used them right up to the bitter end, eh? Because they didn't.
I don't know about the Marines, but the Army was all M1 Abrams by the time the first Iraq War.
Yeah, but the Marines were still using the M60.
The Canadian
we had
Marines.
No, you're Marines. We didn't go in that.
Marines get done with. When we break it and we don't want it anymore, we give it to the Marines, and that's what they get.
That's exactly what was happening too.
They know their place. All they're gonna do is break it anyway. So I don't even know that many Marines that are butthurt about it.
Give
The
it
thing
to the
is,
Marines.
we break it, that they break it. Well, the difference is we break it by farting around with it, and they break it by jabbing it into somebody and leaving it in them.
Yeah.
So when I got here, I came in that door. There's the van. There was somebody fancy doing some kind of speech in like another meeting hall. Like we saw that one empty meeting hall. And this leads me to believe that they must do quite a few events here. This is the kind of thing that we would go to as like Cub Scouts, and they'd give us the tour, plenty of room to eat your lunch here or whatever, and gather, if parents are dropping you off or something. Pretty cool. I think these people in the city are pretty lucky to have this. Our airplane museum is better because we can touch them all. These are all up in the damn air. You can touch that. What is that, a 6? Is this A6?
A6 or A8,
Oh yeah,
naval.
I always like these just because they look cool.
A7 Corsair.
Are they good planes?
Yeah, they're not bad.
It's not
They're
a Corsair. What the hell?
It's a Corsair.
Shit, it is. Damn, Bob. Are these good planes, or they just look cool?
They're okay. Yeah, they're quite a good test. They were flown in Vietnam. They're just a little underpowered, but yeah, good.
That's
Good.
good. They had to take off an aircraft
F-111.
carrier.
I thought the Corsair was the F-111. Or no, the Corsair was that blue one in World War II. They just keep using that name.
Yeah, they just the same. Yeah, you reuse the name. That's it.
So this must all be Army stuff, huh?
Yeah.
This is all
Well-
Army stuff for the most part.
Army doesn't have
Navy
any
stuff.
planes.
Well, Army did have fixed wings, but then
Yeah, we
they're
did.
right about it.
We do. We have observation planes.
Yeah.
And we have helicopters.
Wait, well, the
We have
observation
observation
planes are like the little Cubs.
Yeah, they weren't allowed to put guns
Yeah.
on their planes.
But I'm just saying, those weren't Air Force. Those were Army pilots, weren't they? They say Army on them.
Yes. You are correct. You are correct. They do have the little 2-seater observation.
Want to go pee on the airplane?
That's funny you say that. Smeggy just asked what is Oro peed on.
I'm gonna let him pee on some kind of airplane because I'm not gonna let him pee on artillery. That's too cool. Look what this jerk does. He always grabs my pants and makes a little nest out of them.
He has to pee up in the air if he wants to pee on an airplane.
Uh-oh, is that me or Dan?
No. I didn't hear anything.
Oh, he's breaking up. So I'm just wondering, am I breaking up?
No, you seem fine.
I didn't see anything about a dog walking area, so I'm just going to walk him over to these trees way far away from everything. Are we still live, or am I disconnected?
No, you're live. Yeah, we're still live.
Oh, okay. All right, so I guess that's the tour. So we might as well wrap up the show. I'll put the dog back in his little hole there. I'll go walk around again, take a bunch of photographs. Was there any that are worth me going back in and asking the dude?
There wasn't anything specific. If anybody has anything out there that I missed, feel free to leave them in the comments, but I'm not seeing nothing right now.
You really got to take a picture of the dog peeing.
There ain't no other podcast that is going to show you dog nuts peeing like that. That's how you know we're authentic.
You know, next time I'm in a van with you, I'm going to take off my shoe and start picking at my toes.
Does that count as dirty when it's a dog peeing? Probably not. It's just natural.
Patriot in the dark out there was asking. Patriot in the dark over there was asking, wasn't it the Army Air Force at that time?
In World War II, yes.
Not Nam, though.
After World War II is when they split
That
up
was like
apart.
World War II or whatever. I was talking like in Nam. All right, I got to put it.
Oh, just for the record, Ghost is putting it out there. Marines don't break stuff; they make it famous. Apparently.
I guess we're obligated to take comments from the Marines out there.
We got to.
They were bullying me yesterday. In the chat, and they were giving me shit. So yeah, is there anything other questions? I mean, we didn't see every static display, but I think I gave you an idea of the scale. We have an idea of the scale inside the museum. Again, I'll go in and do a video and some stills and find out things like if there's organized tours or whatever. I encourage anybody that's in the Oklahoma City area. This is the big road that goes across Oklahoma east and west. It's right there. So, I mean, literally like a mile off the 40. So it's super easy to get to. I can't imagine how many times I drove past this.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. Like 24 times in my life I've driven past this thing and didn't know it was here.
Yeah, I must drove.
So that's sort of when you drove past it?
Yeah, I didn't see it when I drove past it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't see it from the road. And what's annoying is there is a sign on the little, you come off the highway to a little road, and then there's a sign that says, go over here to the 43rd Infantry Museum, but there's nothing on the main highway. That's a bummer, because that's the kind of thing that would catch your eye and go, oh, shit, I need to go there. Yeah. But anyway, that's the point of the tour, right? To find things like this and to share them in the live show like this, video and some pictures, and share them on the different social media platforms so that not only are we letting it know in the face everybody who just, would like to ignore this kind of stuff, but putting it on a platform that they also use. So that's sort of the goal. And we can finish the show, then I'll take all those pictures.
Yeah.
Cool. Before we wrap things up real quick, Ghost was asking, and I was kind of curious, did it was free to get in there, right? Or does it cost? Is there any type of fees or anything?
Oh, that's a great question. 100% free. However, I'm going to buy a bunch of stuff, and you're a jerk if you don't do that. But it's completely free.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, that's cool. So they still have opportunity to give them like money or whatever, help support them. That's cool.
Well, here's the thing. I don't have any money. I'm so deep in debt. I don't like to talk about it or think about it. So it's all you guys that are giving me cash. That I'm dropping the cash in here. So I do appreciate that.
Oh, very cool.
So the
All right, well,
tour,
that was it for me. If you want to wrap it up, Bob.
yeah, okay. We're gonna do
What's on?
tomorrow, or what's on tomorrow's show, or
Yeah, what the hell? Don't we have shows tonight? What is today? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Oh yeah, today's actually a busy day on Gun Channels. Yeah, we got Andalusia Armory at 7 Eastern, and then after that we have Ghost Show coming out at 8 Eastern, then Hit or Miss on 9 Eastern, and then Big Gunner 81, my bad, has a show at 10 Eastern. So 4 straight hours of content.
And after yesterday, I'm assuming everybody's going to have their own takes. As more information coming in, these shows will be interesting, and an opportunity to gather information about the incident that is filtered through other like-minded people. So everybody out there in the the chats, they're hosting them, their guests, are all out there absorbing information about the situation, coming together in these chats, weekly. Is fun, and it's an effort and entertainment and maybe education and camaraderie. But for times like this, we see the true value of daily podcast, a weekly podcast, these consistent shows that people put their effort into, rarely with any kind of financial return, are done because when there's a time like this when we're going to need to just have some emotional support because our families and our people at work might be looking at us funny or not wanting to get into conversations because the sensitivity and whatnot at the moment. That's I think the value of these kind of channels, these kind of platforms, and these kind of projects that people are working on is when we need them, they're there and they're established. So it's not like when you need them, we have to then scramble around and figure out how to do it. So again, I want to appreciate offer my appreciation to all of you who are watching and who have participated over the years, because again, that we're only the part that holds a camera. The other half of this equation is whoever is watching it, looking at it, sharing it, and having conversations about the topics.
Most definitely. So if that's got everything, I guess we can wrap her up with our quote. And being that we did see a picture of Winnie, or Winston Churchill, we'll do one of his quotes. But before we do, I would like to remind everybody, please like, share, subscribe, thumbs up. Let's try and grow the audience, and that's how we'll do it. That's what helps us a lot. If you can manage it, support us on Patreon. It helps make this possible so we can go to these museums and show you guys what there is out there to go and see. So anyway, on that, oh yeah, Patreon information will be at the end of the in the video description. So, Winston Churchill, the price of greatness is responsibility. It's a nice, simple quote for today. And thanks everybody for watching and listening. We'll see y'all tomorrow.
The guys and gals of gunwebsites.com encourage you to take a CCW class every year, practice at least once a month, and carry every day. Thanks for watching gunwebsites.com.